Uniform Show, episode 28, continuing the NFL season. We left off in week 4, and we're going to pick it up from that point with the Bears at the Raiders.
Two teams that have been very traditional and respectable and continue to be so, home and road. They've not messed around, especially the Raiders, but the Bears this year exceptionally as well. And you just can overlook the Bears a lot of times, but they really are responsible for some of the better uniform matchups in a lot of cases.
Exactly. We've overlooked the Bears. We admit that. We've always put them very high in our uniform rankings in the NFL, but we've overlooked them a number of times, and this year we really made a point to appreciate the Bears' home and road uniforms. Anytime you have a classic uniform matchup like this against the Raiders, it's worth looking at.
Yeah.
And there was the big Sunday night game, the tie between the Packers and the Cowboys. And this was the big Michael Parsons return to Dallas game, but everyone remembers it as a tie.
Yeah. And you got what you would expect and hope for, which is the solid home uniform of the Packers worn on the road versus the Cowboys. Road uniform home. And the Cowboys did a great job with the socks, actually. And this year we have to say that about the Packers, too.
It was a rough and a long season for the Packers, uniform-wise, and this tie really hurt them from a competitive standpoint, even within their division. It was actually one of the best uniform games of the entire year, though it always is disappointing because the lighting could be better in Green Bay. It's not quite what it could be, but considering it was really a night game between these two, it was inside as a night game, you had good lighting for it, and you want to see a winner or loser in these games. But when it came to the uniforms, you had two winners.
Right.
It didn't end in a tie. You had two winners with the Packers and Cowboys. It's one of those matchups, I think, whether it's home or road, it's always worth making a point to look at and acknowledge.
Yeah.
When you have two of the best uniforms, two the traditional teams, two, I would say, playoff rivals.
Right.
In history. Neither season ended like they wanted to. Cowboys weren't even making the playoffs, and the Packers got knocked out in the first round. But it was one of the better weeks, you could say, for the Packers. It was as good of a road game as they had all season.
Right. With all these alternates now, you have to highlight these good classic matchups more.
The very next week, the Cowboys and Jets played each other in New York. This was week 5, and if you just thought about it as a regular week, this would have been a very good game. But This is what we got instead.
Yeah, you're expecting the sack exchange Jets, either home or road, and then the Cowboys road, and it was a 10 a.m. game, but they both shook hands and said, we're going to do a color rush together. And it doesn't really make a lot of sense compared to a lot of other primetime games, afternoon games. It would be featured more, but everyone wants to see the Jets and Cowboys, even though they haven't won in a long time.
Yeah, I mean, you think about the Jets. Why would you wear all black in the peak of the hottest part of the season? It's only week 5, so this would have been an October game. Why would you have worn this during a full sun game, great weather? Usually teams reserve this for prime time. Very disappointing, these two, and like you were saying, these two often have been treated as the two most important teams in football.
Yeah.
I can understand with the Cowboys because of the history to a point, but it's become a joke with how long it's been since they've even reached the championship game. It's been 30 years.
Yeah.
This season, 30 years since reaching a championship game, not a Super Bowl, and the Jets are still getting the attention they don't deserve when they really only had one great big game in all their history, Super Bowl III. That's about it, but they're treated like one of the most important teams. I mean, when they were good with Rex Ryan, it's as if they were more important than the Steelers, they were more important than the Ravens, they were more important than
Patriots.
It seemed like even the Patriots with Tom Brady. It was ridiculous, but shame on both of these teams for doing this.
Yeah, and again, NFC, AFC, rarely you get to meet, and you get alternate uniforms on both sides.
Yeah, ridiculous. How about this? One of the games of the year, at least I would probably call this Buccaneers-Seahawks game, perhaps it was the best throwback game of the entire season. You see the Buccaneers decided to wear, and they had to coordinate this. The Buccaneers said, we're going to wear our road creamsicles, and the Seahawks said, we're going to wear our classic home uniform.
Yeah.
Again. And it was a treat to see everything we could from this one, because rarely do you get a good road throwback uniform.
Yeah.
And the Buccaneers really made a point to highlight this one this season, and we're highlighting Seahawks home throwback as much as we can.
Yeah.
Because of how lame and boring and dull their regular uniforms are, and they're very bad uniforms, to go to something like this, and you have such strong colors on both sides.
Yeah. Complementary colors, good contrast, and again, the Buccaneers coordinated with other teams really for the first time in a big way this season on doing a throwback game together.
And I appreciate, even though it wasn't a primetime game, they did it early in the season. We always say, if you're going to do a day game with throwback uniforms, do it early in the season.
Yeah.
And they decided to do that where you'd have better lighting. And what we say about these two teams, too, is, to me, the Buccaneers' current uniforms sort of blend in with other teams more. It reminds me of elements of the 49ers, elements of the Raiders. It's not as much of an original look.
Right.
And the Seahawks are just bad, period. The Seahawks just have bad uniforms.
Yeah.
And when they both wear these, you're like, okay, it doesn't look like anyone else. It's your own individual, unique look.
Right.
Like, I'm not going to mistake these Seahawks with anyone else. I'm going to not mistake these Buccaneers with anybody else.
Nope.
And when the Seahawks, I'll say this too, when the Seahawks do this, they really do it right. Just like the Buccaneers. They go all out, all the way. The helmets really couldn't look better, and in both cases, I would be thrilled to see them make this their regular, permanent look.
Yeah, we said the Buccaneers can keep what they have now, or the previous version of what they have now, as a throwback, as a Super Bowl championship tribute, and make the creamsicles the primaries again. And you can say the same about the Seahawks as well.
Yeah, I would say especially the Seahawks, because just they're so bad, their regular uniforms, that I never have to see them again. I would not miss them at all.
Yeah.
So you couldn't move on fast enough. The Buccaneers, I would still be happy to see their current as a throwback, and these are just some great individual shots of longtime veteran players like Levante Davis spent his entire career with the Buccaneers. A long, long career. And Cooper Kupp, who's new to the Seahawks, but great player, and I just love what they've done with the Seahawks helmet. It's just brighter, and that silver is better than ever than I can ever remember at any time growing up.
It was more of a gray before.
And then after the game, the two quarterbacks, I mean, everything looks, I mean, you can't complain about anything.
No.
Everything looks great here. And this is another game when you're looking at this, and you got two winners for uniforms. Just as you said, with current uniforms, Seahawks, you're the ones that frustrate me more than anything, because there's no comparison between what you have now, which is bottom 10, if not almost bottom 5 in the league, and these would be, I don't know if I'd put them in my top 10, but they'd be top 15.
Yeah.
And the Buccaneers would be close to top 10 if they changed to these uniforms. So great job, both of you, and especially the way the Seahawks did this, because we're going to see more Seahawks of how they coordinate it. But both teams made a point to do this, actually. I should applaud both the Seahawks and the Buccaneers for the best uniform seasons they've had. The best uniform seasons they've had in many, many years.
Yeah.
Then there was the rivalry Bills uniforms that were pulled out. This was a Sunday night game between two division opponents. I don't feel there's any rivalry between the Bills and Patriots. I don't. But it was the Bills at home against the Patriots.
Yeah. And these Bills uniforms are just a worse version of their normal home uniforms. Silver, too much white, no red at all. And if you look at the success of the Bills, this is where the success of their season started going off and down a bit.
Yeah, I'd agree. This is where the season really turned, them losing this game to the Patriots. And it became the Patriots' division from that point, the East. But it's not like either team looked particularly good either, though.
No.
It became a Sunday night game, became a color rush game.
Yeah.
Though at least you'd say, okay, the Patriots have a stripe on the pants. It's more tolerable color rush, color on color uniform. But this is hardly an original look by the Bills.
Yeah.
The Vikings have done this. Other teams have done this.
Yeah.
All white look. You're just being like teams who've come before you. It could be a lot. I mean, I'm saying there's nothing loud about it. It's not ugly, but it's just so boring and plain.
Yeah.
And once again, our regular complaints: striping on socks or striping on pants, none. Colored socks, not there. This, on the other hand, was a great game. That was a Sunday night game. This was the Monday night game. The Jaguars hosting the Chiefs.
Yeah. Bringing back the Prowler uniforms again and performing well in them. And just one of the basic things is having the black socks. Very simple, small thing, but so many uniforms have their socks messed up now with transparent stockings instead. This is a huge improvement just by itself, but also just stronger design with the stripe on the pants and the numbers and the piping and borders on the jersey as well. So much better.
Yeah, the Jaguars are in the bottom 10 or so in the league of all uniforms, and if they wore these, they too would be, I would say, middle of the pack to almost above average.
Yeah.
I just the fact that you don't have a color on color look. You have better jerseys. There's just more balance. You have the helmet matching the socks, and I have to just appreciate the players themselves really wore these right.
Yeah.
They didn't go with white stockings. They really wore the black socks as if this was the 90s. This was a real great game, not just because the Jaguars, but because the Chiefs too. Although it's a white on white look, it's a classic look.
Yeah.
It's a great look with what they have with the yes, it's a white sock, but they have the striping on the sock that matches the pants and the shoulders. One of the better Monday night games of the season.
Yeah, definitely. It was another example of two teams working together to have a turn back game.
Yeah, it was a real fun game, and Jaguars, I'm glad this wasn't the only time they wore these. I feel very strongly about them switching back. I don't dislike their current uniform say as much as the Seahawks. But this would mark a significant upgrade for the Jaguars. A beautiful shot of both teams, pre-snap formations, and it's too bad you didn't get to see something like this in the playoffs.
No, we were hoping they would wear them in the playoffs, but no.
The beginning of this season was about the high highs and low lows of uniforms. You really didn't have anything so much in between. It's either teams really got it right or they really got it wrong. All right, Cowboys decided to wear alternate uniforms again. And we're not talking about throwback uniforms, just alternates that they've added a few years back. And they did it against the Washington Commanders. This was really frustrating. It was 2 out of 3 weeks the Cowboys did this. And it's the usual things that bother you about uniforms. And it's so frustrating because the Cowboys usually are one of those teams you can count on not to mess around with uniforms. They do a lot of things wrong, but when it comes to appearances, they usually nail it and get it right.
Yeah.
But here they are really coming back and just being a part of the pack of bad uniforms in the league. I mean, it's the usual stuff. Mainly the socks that bother me. And it's just hardly different than the ones they wear at Thanksgiving, the throwbacks from the 60s.
Right. Just with white stockings instead of blue socks. And they're just not different enough.
And it's just the helmet. The regular helmet is white instead of the silver.
Yeah.
Gray silver.
Yeah, this would look so much better if they would just wear it like they did in the 90s with the silver helmet, silver pants, blue socks. That would be a decent alternate. It has history. And
it's different enough from the 60s and the regular uniform. This is just too similar to that throwback uniform. If anything, it sort of takes away from when they wear that.
Yeah.
It's an inferior version of that uniform.
So yeah, just another example of two teams getting together on a color rush.
And the Commanders, right? And of course you got Dan Quinn in the background there with his backwards hat. The Chargers. The yellow Chargers.
Yeah, this was a step back for the Chargers this year with their uniforms. Worst year, bringing in more combinations, trying to be like the Broncos, you would say, and see yellow on yellow, white on blue. Totally unnecessary. And not all an improvement over what they normally had and used before.
Yeah, there's a reason why this was never a uniform in all of their history.
Yeah.
Because it was a terrible idea. I mean, a yellow jersey is bad enough, but to go all yellow,
Yeah.
I'm surprised. Why not just have a yellow helmet too?
Right.
This, I would say, big men don't look good in yellow either. All yellow, that's for sure. It's blue. Your color is blue.
Yeah.
That's it. It's got to be baby blue. It's got to be the navy blue
Yeah.
that they've had in the past. Those are fine. But there's a reason why, as we've said, and this is going to come up again in this episode, why there is no team in the NFL that has a yellow jersey as a part of their uniform set.
Yeah.
Now back to the good. The Jets went to Cincinnati to face the Bengals.
And we like this new Bengals combination, which they introduced last year. It's a rare example of something new that is better, not worse. It matches the helmet better, the orange pants, and it's just a good alternating complementary combination. Orange, black, orange, black. And then on the other side of the Jets, wearing the green socks is fine with the white on white.
Yeah, this is my preferred look for the Jets on the road, and this is back on the right track for the Jets. And
Yeah.
this is an underrated game for the season. It's not going to be among the very best, but it's one we really like. Jets and Bengals. And you had to return the Kelly Green uniforms, and it's great they got this during a sunny day in Philadelphia. And it was the Giants versus the Eagles, and we always say this is how you do it. You want to wear your turnback uniforms against teams usually within your conference, and even better yet, a divisional opponent.
Yeah. Relevance, history, teams that you wore it against and can appreciate it and appreciate throwback look of a game. They did it, and they got the sunlight on top of it. So finally, we've been waiting for the Eagles to have these good weather conditions, not night or gray, rainy conditions.
Yeah, the Kelly Green's a favorite of ours, and I think for a lot of people in general, obviously the Eagles fans love them.
Yeah.
It's as if half the crowd wears these Kelly Green jerseys, shirts every week.
Yeah.
It's not just for the turnback games. Every week, the crowd is full of these uniforms, and we say it every time. This needs to be the primary uniform. I'd just make a few little tweaks to it. I'd go with the solid green socks. That's what I would go with instead of the stripes. That'd be really the only thing I would change on them. And another thing is, we'll bring this up every single time. I mean, every single time they wear these uniforms, we will show them in our episodes because they're that good and because it should be their primary home look.
Yeah.
My complaint is with the Giants. The Eagles did great. Giants, this would have been the perfect opportunity to wear your road uniforms, your road throwback 80s, 90s, and they didn't do it.
Right.
Should have.
They did this year, but they didn't decide to do it with the Eagles. Maybe next year. But I agree with you. Green socks for the Eagles with this set. Get a little shine back in the pants. The Raiders and Cowboys do it. You can do it too, I'm sure, if you want to. And like you said, and we said with the Buccaneers and Seahawks, make this your primary uniform. Keep what you have now as a throwback to your Super Bowl championship victory.
Chargers, again, as they had a number of alternate uniforms. I'm saying this is the throwback done wrong. This is the uniform we grew up with that we really liked, at least partially.
Yeah.
When I say this is the uniform we grew up with, we're talking about the helmet without the number and the jersey. Obviously, they did not have a color on color look because people had taste back then. The 90s was the best uniform era, especially the middle 90s was the best uniform era in NFL history. Oh, and I have to say the italicized numbers
Right.
are wrong too. These are not supposed to be italicized.
Right. So this is not a full throwback. Number on the helmet, italicized numbers, and wearing the blue on blue. I think they wore the blue on blue small amount of times in the later years of this uniform set in the 90s. In the 2000s, they wore that, but
It
not
was,
nearly enough to ever bring it back like
yeah,
this.
I mean, I honestly forgot about that. They ever did it, but their regular look was the blue helmet, blue jersey, white pants,
Right.
blue socks,
Right.
which was a strong one. This is one we want to see for a very long time. We want
Yeah.
to see that uniform set
Done right.
done right. It was among the most, probably our top five, if not top three, that they hadn't done yet
Yeah.
in the NFL. And this was sort of like a sick tease because, in ways, they're close, but they did it wrong. And why wouldn't you just wear it the way it was?
Yeah.
I mean, after all, that was the '94 team was the only team that ever reached the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
That was, maybe you wouldn't say from a talent standpoint that was the best Chargers team ever, but it was the only Chargers team that made it to the Super Bowl.
Yeah. But yeah, they already had the color rush with yellow and yellow. They just wanted to make another one out of this one, but they should have just done the full throwback and do it right.
And I'd say I've always felt this way about the Chargers. They've never needed the. They've always felt I shouldn't say always. They've felt in many cases they need to add numbers to their helmet. They don't need them.
No.
They're fine the way they are. It's a strong helmet, just because there's some empty space there. But the Lightning Bolt is a great helmet. So they can just leave those off all the helmets, in my opinion.
Yeah, it ruins the design. I don't know where else you could put it except at the back, maybe.
Yeah, I think the only one I was okay with numbers on the helmet was the Washington football team.
Mm-hmm.
Because of the situation that was.
So empty.
But really, it wouldn't be by choice to have numbers on the uniform. I mean, is this better than the yellow on yellow? Absolutely.
Yeah.
But they got it wrong. And it was a disappointment, and hopefully one of these years they'll actually wear it correctly again.
Yeah. All you need is white paint.
Now, this was a great game. Cowboys at Broncos.
Yeah.
The Broncos Orange Crush uniforms, like the Hill Green uniforms, are ones we will show every time.
Yeah.
Because the Broncos made a really bad decision in 1997 when they went to a new uniform set, and it's been really frustrating how long they held on to those uniforms. They decided to change their uniforms again, and they made them even worse than they already were.
Yeah.
That 97 set, and they lost Super Bowls in these uniforms, but this is by far their best, strongest look. They had lots of success in them. And if you're going to wear these against an NFC opponent, it really can't get much better than the Cowboys, unless it was maybe the Packers.
Yeah.
After all, and I should say too, well, this was a Super Bowl matchup.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, a few things are a little different. Like in the Cowboys uniforms, the socks were different, but they played each other in the 70s. Broncos and Cowboys, you practically forget about it.
Yeah.
That was the first Super Bowl the Broncos were in, and it was just a brilliant decision to wear these.
Yeah.
The only part that was disappointing was it was a kind of a gray day.
Yeah.
You didn't really have the sun shining on these uniforms. But this was, to me, one of the highlight games. Was one of the premier uniform games, and a surprise because we don't look at spoilers of any kind. This was a real treat and a surprise on a Sunday afternoon. in Denver because the Cowboys are wearing their uniforms correctly. They got the socks right, and you have two classic teams, NFC, AFC, in their best uniforms. The disappointment of the year. It was Aaron Rodgers facing his former team, the Packers, for the first time. And you would have thought that this would have been one of the best games of the entire season between the Packers and the Steelers. We said, though it wouldn't have been the same color matchup, when we did our Super Bowl uniform rankings, the Packers were at home, Steelers were wearing road in the Super Bowl. We said that was the best, number one uniform Super Bowl game ever. I mean, that's how highly we think of these uniforms. And though this combination of what you would have expected to have in Pittsburgh wouldn't have been quite as good as the other, Packers home, Steelers road, but still would have been an excellent game.
Yeah.
Instead, I never would have thought of this, never would have imagined it, never even would have considered on the table a possibility. This is what we got.
Yeah. Bad enough that the Steelers are wearing this throwback that is not a good looking one with a matte helmet on top of it. But the Packers, we thought we could count on. Figured the Steelers were probably going to wear something alternate because it's prime time. But the Packers, no, we thought we could count on them. But they've been doing this since last year. Primetime game on the road, doesn't matter if it's not at home. And they did it again. And there's just too much yellow on the field. No, there isn't. It's just two of the greatest uniforms in NFL history if you do it right. But instead we get this.
We get this awful Steelers uniform, and I hate the Packers white on whites. I'm not going to repeat all the things we dislike about them because we've already said it so many times. What's wrong about this? For a white on white, it's okay. It is. But there's a number of glaring issues with this particular uniform. And we were robbed from a great game.
Yeah.
We were robbed from a great uniform game. You only get it every couple of years. And then even more if you think about, I mean, unless they play each other because they have the right seed, same seed in the playoffs or whatever. They have the same seed unless you get that extra game.
Yeah.
You're not going to see this kind of matchup for a number of years, and they spoiled it. We were robbed from a great game, and we get a trendy Packers uniform, and then you get a Steelers throwback uniform. Just a terrible uniform. This was leather helmet era uniform for the Steelers. And this, of course, was a primetime game. And we figured something out this season about the Packers was anytime they're on the road, you can't count on them to wear a good uniform.
Nope.
They're going to disappoint you. If it's the regular uniform, they're going to wear the white socks, or better yet, for them, that's how they look at it. The second game of the season for them, primetime game at home, they wore these.
Yeah.
They almost wore these as fast as they possibly could.
Yeah.
And then you go back to last year against the Seahawks on Sunday Night Football. They shocked us and wore these. And I'm going to know going forward now, anytime the Packers are playing a primetime game, could be home, could be road. Smart crew. It could be home, it could be road. Don't be surprised. They're probably going to wear something like this. They're going to wear some really bad turn back, or they're going to continue wearing this white on white look.
Yeah.
Because the Packers have the best uniform in football. Their regular uniform is the best uniform in football, if not all of professional sports. It's that good.
Yeah.
And then they do this to us.
But yeah, it's been done and it's old and
they've been worn out already.
Yeah. we need to join in with the other trendy teams and stop being so boring. And so you get this. And like you said, again, they only play the Steelers every 4 years, every 8 years at the two different locations. If you get the extra seed game with your AFC, NFC opponent, maybe extra game, but a terrible loss with this.
Yeah, I mean, the Packers and Steelers are legacy teams. They're legacy franchises. They're the crown jewels of the NFL. I mean, if you're only going to pick a couple teams, you're going to say, who are the crown jewels of the NFL? It's the Cowboys, of course, number one. Say the Steelers, the Packers, probably the 49ers would be the fourth team out of that group. But these are two of them, and this is what they decide to wear. You know, I can defend the Packers some because I will say that for a white on white, it looks good for a white on white. It's just so disappointing coming for the Packers. But for the Steelers, to me, there's just no defense for these. These are just bad uniforms. They don't look good. They are bad, poor uniforms. And when you're looking even closer, of course, the helmets are matte helmets.
Yeah.
These yellow helmets are matte helmets. And I have to bring up, too, that we mentioned how bad the Chargers were, right? Okay, congratulations. You're better than the Chargers yellow on yellows, right? That's about it.
Yeah.
But once again, there's a reason why teams did not stay with a yellow jersey. I mean, I said what I did about the Chargers. There's a reason why no teams ever really thought about this. Well, okay, it did happen to Steelers, but we're talking about 100 years ago. I mean, that's nothing modern. That's nothing within even the last 50 or 60 years. We're talking about, they did something that's like this 100 years ago. Well, there's a reason why it didn't stick. It's a reason why they went with black.
Yeah.
You know, the Steelers go with the black. The Raiders go with black because black works. And all these other teams want to go with alternate uniforms. They want to use black. You don't want to use yellow as your primary color. It's a great complementary color. It's one of the best complementary colors.
Right.
Not as your primary. And to see Aaron Rodgers wearing this. And another thing we got to point out about Rodgers, too, is he changed his helmet as the season went on. He had a better helmet to start, and then he switched to this version of the helmet.
And there were better versions available.
He could have stayed closer to the classic helmet. I mean, even his teammate right there on the left has a better version of the face mask, at least it appears, than he does.
Yeah. Number of disappointments for the Steelers.
But you could find two teams that looked worse during this season. But it's the worst uniform game, in my opinion, for the entire season because the Packers and Steelers did this.
Yeah.
Because that game was taken away from us. Instead, we got this junk game from the Packers and Steelers. And the Steelers just looking plain bad.
Yeah. And because of that, we didn't watch that much of it.
Right. It was hard to watch. It was hard on the eyes, not easy on the eyes. The Steelers also had a uniform similar to this in 94. I was forgetting about this. In 1994, they wore a uniform similar to this, but note, and I'll show this, they had a black helmet. I remember seeing Rod Woodson with it, and it was similar to this, but they had a black helmet instead of a yellow helmet, because again, it's going back to a leather helmet era. But they said, yeah, sure, we'll go with the yellow instead. Even if it was black, it would be an improvement. Anyway, disappointment. Worst game of the year considering the quality of uniforms and what they should have been. And the worst season in Packers history continued. This was back-to-back weeks wearing the white uniforms on the road. Then they come home and play the Panthers, Oh, and they have these leather helmet uniforms, this turn back uniform, and then they make a helmet that looks like a leather helmet. It's a disaster.
We've lost multiple games in a row. One of the best uniforms in NFL history, if not pro sports history, for these lame alternates. And unless you're really big on history and know the Packers' history well, can't hardly identify them in these. They were at home, which helped, but
Yeah, we complained about those green alternates they had last year when they were playing the Lions. I would take those over these any time because at least you're going to say, hey, at least it looks like something like the Packers.
yeah.
I mean, I can't stand the Acme Packers. I don't like these at all. The Packers are the Packers. My idea for alternate uniforms, what I'd like to see them do for next season for the 60th anniversary, is just have the gray face mask and have the striped socks. Just wear the same exact uniform you wore that year 60 years ago, and it's different enough. There's multiple subtle changes to the uniform that are different enough than what they wear every week.
And they wore those against the Lions on Thanksgiving, back in the Brett Favre era.
And this is another uniform we never need to see again. And the Panthers' blue pants idea doesn't need to be done either.
No.
It's a very bad decision. On to something better. We need something better, and it was the 49ers and Giants. Very close to a true turn back. And the 49ers don't quite have the same exact uniform they wore, say, in the 80s, where you saw a lot of 49ers and Giants. It's very close. And when the 49ers wear the right uniform and the Red Sox, it's one of the best road uniforms in football. And the Giants really upgrade when they do this and wear the 80s, 90s home uniform.
Yeah. This is, like you said, very close to a full throwback. Beautiful, sunny, early game for us here on the West Coast. 1 o'clock game for the New York fans. And just wonderful to see the Giants do this along with their walls and end zones and all the branding.
Yeah, really strong, classic NFC uniform games. Teams had a lot of history of winning and obviously a lot of playoff history. Big games played in New York. One of the best ideas a team has had for uniforms, for alternate uniforms, is the Commanders' Redskins uniform.
Yeah. And this is exactly what I had pictured way back when they were going to change. Just put the W in place of the old logo and keep everything else the same. That's what this is.
Yeah, there was nothing ever wrong with the uniform design itself. If you want to take away the red skin Indian off the helmet, okay, I understand that. But the actual color scheme and the design with the uniform, about the helmet, the face mask, the striping, the jersey, the pants, the socks, it was all great.
Yeah.
And it was a sad day when we lost that uniform, because it was easily a top 10, close to top 5 uniform in the NFL. One of my favorites. And instead, we got an inferior version with the Washington football team. Not bad, but then we got a very bad uniform with the Commanders.
Yeah.
And to see something like this, it's just a slam dunk. It's really a no-brainer. This is what should have always been for the Commanders or the Washington football team.
Yeah.
And it has to be the look going forward.
Yeah.
I don't know if they have to wait a certain amount of time or what to introduce these, but this needs to be the Washington Commanders uniform. moving forward.
Yeah.
And what made it even better was, thanks to the Seahawks, we had very close to a true throwback game.
Yeah.
As much as the Commanders can have a throwback uniform with this great Seahawks uniform, and Seahawks were willing to do this on the road. As we know, for the Redskins, this was their usual home uniform, the away uniform. So very strong on both sides. You have really strong primary colors with the blue of the Seahawks. You have the burgundy and the yellow for the Commanders, and you got it during prime time, thank you, and under the lights, still when there would be good weather out. So this was also in the running among the best uniform games this season. I mean, just in this episode, you think of the Seahawks Buccaneers and Seahawks Commanders.
Yeah.
Didn't go well for the Commanders, but hey, at least they looked great.
Right.
In these. So great job for both of them, and Seahawks are a rival football team. I just can't get enough of these. Wear them as much as you can, make them the permanent uniform, and Commanders, it should be even easier for them to do this. That this is who they need to be, because you can't just throw away history of a team like them, a team that had a great history, a team that, with Joe Gibbs, they went to 4 Super Bowls and they won 3 of them in about a 10-year period. That's a great history and era of football. Yeah, it's a long time ago, but it shouldn't be forgotten. It shouldn't be buried.
Yeah. And just bring back the glossy helmet. Otherwise, that's it.
Thank you.
Keep it the way it is.
That is the one thing that was wrong that I almost missed about it. That needs to be fixed. Then it'll be just right.
Yeah.
And they'll be back to what they should be. There's a few more shots of both teams, both sides. It's sort of thick striping on the pants, but I'm A-okay with it. Like you said, I see nothing to change except for that matte helmet for them, and I hope we see a lot more of these for the Commanders and the Seahawks moving forward. And the good news is for the Commanders is we'll be seeing these again in future episodes. This isn't the only time that we're going to talk about this, but this was the first time they did it, and it's too bad it even took this long for them. I mean, let's say this about the Redskins, we liked the helmet so much that we had to go out of our way. There were the helmets that you get out of the vending machines, the little plastic helmets, growing up in the 90s. And what was the hard one to get? It was the Redskins. And we went to an event, and the helmet was on this glass figure, and we bought it just to get the helmet.
Right.
We liked the Redskins helmet that much. So, thank you. Let's keep going with this. And lastly, the cheerleaders were an improvement too. It's not even close. You have on the left, this is their current look, which there's not really any particular problem with it except for the shoes. And then you have the classic, let's say, 90s look, I think you'd say, which the major upgrade is there's balance to it, and the white boots. So, Commanders, bring back your history. Go back to what you have. You have a great history. You have a great track record of winning, and there's still a lot more to see with uniforms.